Well, hello internets, here we are with a bit of a vlog. This one here is living on a fixed income. I never ever thought that I would ever have to do it. Or at least not until I was, 65 or whatever retirement age was or would have been at that time. But these are some of my experiences, some of my ideas, and some of my tips. And yeah, welcome to our vlog. So, here we go. Living on a fixed income for me has been quite an adjustment. At one time in my life, I had what I came to call unlimited income. Yeah, there were limitations. Obviously I couldn't work 300 hours in a month to bring in, $12,000 a month. But when I needed more money, I had ways of earning more, picking up extra shifts, buying used bicycles, selling them, mowing some lawns, buying RVs or trailers, selling them, so that'd bring in a few extra hundred. And of course, during your life, you have a timeline in your head on how many years you have left life, how many years you have of life left, of working life left, before you can no longer pay for an item. Like to buy a brand new vehicle at 60 years old, you're probably not going to get it paid for before your working time's going to be up, or it's going to be a big struggle that you may regret. Financing a brand new car at $800 a month payment at X number of interest, like a high interest loan, when you're working a minimum wage job, is almost a recipe for failure. Some people have done it. They've got their ways of making money, and whether they're not paying rent at home, or they've got a girlfriend that pays for everything, so they can put their money into fancy shiny things. And now, with my life that has become what it is, my so-called unlimited income has been shrunk down to essentially the income that I once had when I was making minimum wage, before the minimum wage went up to $15.75 an hour. This is the kind of wage that I was making every month when I was packing groceries at a grocery store. Essentially, I'm making way less than half, way less than I used to make. There's no way that I could afford a mortgage anymore. There's no way that I could afford now to pay for a truck, RV, these luxuries. Well, I call them luxuries because, again, we'll cover that a little bit later. What does a person really need to survive? In life, we have to choose what is important, and once you've got the basics covered, like food for your family, preferably food for yourself, because you do need to eat, you really should pay for your bills, because you being a adult, you willingly signed for the contract for the power, or contract for the cable, or willingly signed for your fancy new phone, or whatever it is. You weren't coerced into doing it, regardless of however the situation turns out. You should pay for these things. And when you default on some of these items, then there are real world adult consequences. Consequences that can take 7 to 10 years or more for you to dig yourself out of. Without going into it too deep in this here video, and for those of you that have probably watched my vlogs, you'll probably gather what's happened in my old life. I have experienced things that I never thought that I would experience. If you would have told me when I was 22, 25, before things became complicated, before my life went in an opposite direction, I would have said, no, that's never going to happen. Because I was the kind of guy that I kept very low overhead. I lived renting an apartment. My truck was rusty old truck. It was paid for. My cell phone was a pay-as-you-go cell phone. My bicycle was paid for. My everything was paid for. If memory serves me right, I had a power bill. Obviously the grocery bill. And whatever, I didn't even have cable when I lived in my little one-bedroom first apartment, because everything was kept well within my means. And whenever I wanted to go camping, I didn't have to think about it. I would just go down, grab what I wanted, and go. Just didn't have to worry about, do I have the money to go to Edmonton this weekend, or do I have money to grab this when it's on sale, or do I have to not have any fun for the next 6 months because I had a $600-$800 power bill come in the mail like I had experienced. One of the things, again, living on a fixed income, is you have to balance out life. Write down your monthly expenses, whether it's like I said, your power bill, your cable bill, your grocery bill. If you're lucky and you have a vehicle, fuel for the vehicle, keeping in mind what month it is when your insurance expires, because obviously there's money there. And if your monthly budget exceeds your income coming in, your money coming in, then decisions have to be made. You can't drive your vehicle without insurance, or you can't renew your driver's license, because that can cause a big ripple effect that could cost you thousands more than just the few hundred it would take to renew these things. You obviously can't go without food for long, because then that causes a ripple effect that can destroy everything else. Cutting back on your groceries at one time was a viable thing. However, with prices the way they are, your $100 month grocery budget, which is, it can be carried out in 1, maybe 2 bags now with the prices the way they are. At one time, I used to pay my bills immediately. I used to pay things and not worry about it, And I've come to the realization, I know this is a little bit of a crappy way of putting it, but these multi-million-dollar companies really, truly do not need your $80 or your $175, or if your bill is high, your $300 power bill money. They don't need it. They are not going to go broke. They are not going to close down if you do not pay for a month. That being said, if you don't pay, they will harass you. If you don't pay within a month or 2, they could send you to collections. They can disconnect your service, because that's part of within their scope to do so. However, sometimes in life we need to take a step back. I've lived without power. I've lived without natural gas. I've had to do things to survive, to make bills paid that I wouldn't have normally had to have done when I was younger. But sometimes you have to be creative with your finances. if you are running short, on money, look at programs in your community, whether it's the food bank, whether it's a church having some kind of community outreach supper. You can get a free meal. If you're not a religious person, sometimes you may have to listen to somebody speak a little bit. But hey, it never hurts to put a little bit of positive influence in a person's life, especially if they are down a little bit. Remember again, skipping payments might give you $200-300 extra, but in the end it could cost you $700-800 to get everything paid down. It's not a viable way of getting ahead. It's just a temporary substitute for the very, very, very short term. And one of the biggest things I can say too is do the best you can to stay away from those money lender people. I'm not going to name any names, but you go in there and you borrow $100 and have to pay back $120, or depends on their rates, $150. And they will harass you. They will harass your family. They will harass your friends. If you've put anybody down as a character reference, they will harass them. My family had somebody who put their name down as a character reference. Didn't even check to make sure it was okay. And for years afterwards, my family got phone calls from this company because they were expecting us to pay for their debt because these people, unauthorized, without permission, used our name to these bloodsuckers as a character reference. And this harassment went on, which is unneeded. These are just some of my experiences, some of my problems that I've faced, overcome, dealing with, living with. Leave your comments below. Leave your experiences below. Have you come across some of these bloodsuckers? Have you had to deal with collections? Have you had to deal with bankruptcies and losing everything in your life? Have you had to get creative to keep what little you did have left to yourself and not lose everything and end up living in a cardboard box? Leave your comments below if you choose. And as always, thanks for watching. Comment, subscribe, and enjoy.